Sir Donald George Bradman was an Australian cricket player who is universally regarded as the greatest cricket player of all time and one of Australia's greatest popular heroes. Receiving some criticism in his first Ashes series in 1928 to 1929, he worked constantly to remove the few weaknesses in his game, and by the time of the Borderline series, was without peer as a batsman, possessing a great stillness whilst awaiting the delivery. His stroke making was based on the combination of excellent vision, speed of both thought and footwork, and a decisive, powerful bat motion with a pronounced follow-through. Technically, his play was almost flawless, strong on both sides of the wicket, with only his sternest critics noting a tendency of his backlift to be slightly angled toward the slip cordon. Despite occasional battles with illness, he continued to dominate world cricket throughout the 1930s and is credited with raising the spirit of a nation suffering under the vagaries of the economic depression until war intervened. Over an international career spanning nearly 20 years from 1930 to 1948, Bradman's statistical achievements were unparalleled. He broke scoring records for both first-class and Test cricket. His highest international score, 334, stood for decades as the highest ever Test score by an Australian. It was then equalled by Mark Taylor, who declared with his score at 334 not out in what many regard as a deliberate tribute to Bradman. In 2003, it was once more equalled, then surpassed by another fellow Australian, Matthew Hayden, who fittingly went on to gain the highest score in Test cricket, 380 up to that time. For decades, Bradman was the only player with 2 Test triple centuries in a career. He was joined by West Indian Brian Lara in 2004. Lara broke Hayden's record in the process of joining Bradman in this exclusive club. Approaching 40 years of age, most players are retired by their mid-30s. He returned to play cricket after World War II, leading one of the most talented teams in Australia's history. In his farewell 1948 tour of England, the team he led, doubled the Invincibles, went undefeated throughout the tour, a feat unmatched before or since. On the occasion of his last international innings, Bradman needed 4 runs to be able to retire with a batting average of 100, but was dismissed for duck. Applauded onto the pitch by both teams, it was sometimes claimed that he was unable to see the ball due to the tears welling in his eyes, a claim Bradman always dismissed as a sentimental nonsense. I knew it would be my last Test match after a career spanning 20 years. But to suggest I got out as some people did because I had tears in my eyes is to belittle the bowler, and it is quite untrue. Regardless, he was given a guard of honor by players and spectators alike, as he left the ground with the batting average of 99.94 from his 22 tests, nearly double the average of any other player before or since. His average is immortalized as the post-box office number of Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Bradman so dominated the game that spatial bowling tactics known as fast leg theory or bodyline, regarded by many as unsporting and dangerous, were devised by England captain Douglas Jardine to reduce his dominance in the series of international matches against England in Australian summer of 1932 to 1933. Bradman married his childhood sweetheart Jessie and had 2 children, John and Lorraine. An intensely private person, probably because of his intense media scrutiny he suffered under. He was regarded as aloof even by teammates, particularly in later years. A strict Methodist, he had occasionally been accused of anti-Catholicism in his action as captain and selector. However, it should be pointed out that at that time sectarian prejudice was very widespread in Australia. Bradman is immortalized in two popular songs of very different styles and eras. Our Don Bradman, a jaunty 1930s ditty by Jack O'Hagan, and the folk-influenced Rocco Paul Kelly in 1980s. The story of Borderline series was also told in the television series. He also wrote several books on cricket technique and tactics, which are regarded as classics. He was awarded a knighthood in 1949 and a Companion of the Order of Australia in 1979. After retiring from playing cricket, Bradman continued working as a stockbroker. Even then, he became heavily involved in cricket administration, serving as a selector for national team for nearly 30 years. He was selector and acknowledged as the force urging the players of both teams to play entertaining attacking cricket for the famous Australia-West Indies Test Series of 1960-1961. He is often compared with the Indian cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar, who in India considered as God of cricket. Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Please subscribe to watch more videos.